you so much, Dr. Agnes and the AWI team, for inviting me to come and speak. My name is Dr. Lucy McKenzie. I am the current chair for the Kenya North America Diaspora Circle. It is the first women diaspora circle. We were founded in 2017, and we currently have a membership of close to 1,500. So our story is very, very unique. We were founded on Facebook. A random post of what if 6,000 women in that page could donate or contribute $100 a month. How much money would we have amassed in 6 months? That amounted to so much money that meant we could do something very significant in terms of investment in Kenya. Yes? And so 8 of us, there were many ideas that were tossed. I can remember that post like yesterday. There were 428 comments on that one post. We had uniform ideas. We can start a uniform supply company here in Kenya. We can start a security company. But the one thing that stuck was, what if we could form a women-only circle? And at the time, we already had our brothers, our bigger brothers, who already had a circle in the diaspora. As Simon said, they were founded in 2012, and this is 5 years later, and we're talking about a women-only circle. So we held the first 2 conference calls to just gauge what is the interest. And lo and behold, there was actually interest. But in that interest, there was also discouragement. You know how we are. And who decided you will be the ones who will be talking in the meeting? And who decided you're the one who's going to lead? And who made you this, that, and the other? And there was a lot of discouragement. And so, even though we want to be women investors, the one thing I will say is champion yourselves. Tell your story. Stick to your story, especially when you believe it. And so after those first 2 phone calls, we decided, there's too much negative noise. And until we have something to report back to these interested potential members at some point, we will not have any more conference calls. Because it really, after every conference call, which lasted about 2-3 hours, we would get back together and ask, what just happened? Do we even have the drive to continue pursuing this? And so eventually, we did sit back, did all the groundwork, and 4 months later, we were registered. I forget to tell you that none of us 8 members actually knew each other. We knew each other on Facebook. So we used to have conference calls with people who you've never met. So our first meeting was when we got to hear that our certificate was going to be out. So we physically met face to face in Washington, D.C. So that is our story. But let me tell you, if you could have seen us the first day we ever saw each other, you would have thought we had known each other for years. We couldn't sleep. The next day, we had only one day to go through all our bylaws and decide what we want to change, what needs to improve, how much money the members are going to be contributing. But we stayed up late. We were putting ice on our faces so that we can stay up, because you don't want to miss anything. This is the first time you're meeting your co-founders. So why do I tell you that story? It is because I can tell you, you can start a business with people you've never met, so long as you're going in the same direction. If you're not going in the same direction, you could know each other every single day. They are your buddies, they are everything, and what they do is poke holes in everything you are doing. So it is possible to begin to have a business with people you don't know. So what were some of our challenges? We are all career women. All 8 of us, we've never run a circle. But we know deep down this is something that we want. So our knowledge base was minimal. So we were not very versed. Personally, I didn't know what a SACCO is. But it sounded like something that was really great. It was going to bring women together, collectively fund and do big projects. So having limited knowledge was quite a challenge. We are working in our regular career jobs, and then we are meeting for 3-4 hours at night on the phone, trying to figure out what SACCOs do. So that limited knowledge was a challenge. Then we didn't invest in consultants like we have been told all along. Consultants who are experts and professionals bring value to an organization. So those were some of the challenges that we were facing. Then we faced the difficulty of registration. We had to send a board member to come and argue on behalf of why women in the diaspora need a SACCO for women only. And that was the time when Kenya had instituted that there needs to be a gender, something to do with gender. And so now we want to, yes, that we needed 30% of men to be part of our SACCO. But that was not our bond. That was not our common bond. Women in the diaspora, they come and they have different needs from men. They can come as a couple. They end up having a divorce. The mama probably wasn't working. So she's starting life again from scratch. So our lives are different. And so our common bond also was different. So we sent one of our members here, our board members, to come and argue why we really needed a SACCO, just for women. And you know, by the time she left, he had approved. And prior to that, he had said no. So resilience, you have to push past the no. Sometimes you get 10 no's before you get a yes. And so you can't stay at no the very first time you hear it, because they probably don't understand what you're asking for. And emails sometimes don't translate to what you're trying to communicate. So in our case, we had to send our board member to come. The other thing that we had in terms of challenges is, as a diasporan, especially if you've lived in the diaspora for a long time, you tend to have such naivety. You are naive to everything. You are easily believing because you live in a place where everything functions properly. You don't have to bribe anybody to get your company registered. You go register online and you get registered. Here, on the other hand, even the lawyer is it's not just enough that you pay them their fees. For them to push your paperwork, you have to come off with tea. And it's really annoying. And I said, I'm passionate about that because, I'm still experiencing it now. Even when I come to visit Kenya, I feel like I'm being robbed by people who should actually be doing their job because they get paid to do this work. And so that naivety makes us lose money, and we don't understand the concept of time. So by the time you realize this is something that they could have pushed in 2 months, you've gone into 4 months, and it's because you didn't get it. You should have given them tea from day one, and your paperwork goes forward. So, so really, that naivety of systems working does pose a challenge for us in the diaspora. The other challenge is that you're not going to agree. You have to get to that point where, as Celeste said, respect is translated differently. Yes? And so even as leaders, we experience that challenge of translating what does the other person mean when they respect you. They can be loud. I'm not probably used to people who talk loudly, and they may come across as they are shouting. Millennials, I see them here, and the Gen X, they speak their mind with no, people in my generation, we say we have a filter. Them, it is raw and straight up. So if you can accommodate understanding how they communicate, you get aggrieved a lot. And that's not necessarily what they meant. They are just passionate. I'll give you an example. People, maybe my mom's generation, did not say if they had a problem in the home, the husband was beating them or whatever. But a Gen X, millennial, they will say it with no reservation and say, hey, I'm not going to take this. And so, does that mean they don't want to stay married? No, they're just pointing out that this is wrong and it needs to be fixed. So that was also a challenge. So as leaders, we have to also not get so emotionally involved. That you can't wear your emotions so close to your skin that anytime somebody says something that, okay, say I'm saying let's buy houses. Then Dr. Agnes is in the board and says, no, we are not going to do that. Okay, that doesn't mean I had a bad idea. And I shouldn't take so much offense with that fact that she was in disagreement. Yes? So, as leaders, we have to not wear our emotions so close to our sleeves that we get offended. We don't want to work in the same team. When work is being divided, you feel so terrible that you've been put with this person. Now the work that you're going to produce is going to be so sloppy because you're spending very little time to do the work because you're still aggrieved. Yeah, all right? So as leaders, that was some of the things we had to learn. What have we learned along the way? We must use consultants. They cost money, but cheap is very expensive. Okay? The other thing is we must put things in perspective. This was a challenge. We created policies when a problem came. Whereas we should have had the policies so we know how to deal with that situation when it comes up. So putting systems in place such as policies is very, very important. Strategies to be successful. You must have a yellow brick road. This is what we will do in the next 5 years. It needs to be a living document that everybody reads. You can't finish the document, then part of the leadership says they don't know what it means. A year later, okay? That is a problem. We need to read the document when it is created, understand it, and then let it be a yearly review of that document. What were our goals? What did we achieve? What did we not achieve? What was the reason why we didn't achieve it? And then what is the solutions? Here we are not pointing fingers. I'm not saying Dr. Agnes didn't do her job. I'm not saying anybody didn't do her job. All we are saying is, as an organization, this is what we said we would do. But this is what we did. Do we have any idea what led to us not achieving what we had said? And then how do we move forward? In our case, we expect to grow at the rate of 1,000 women every year for the next 5 years. That is a huge task. But how do we do that? We must empower people because there's only 8 of us on the board. We cannot do everything. We can't be the recruiters. We can't also be we have to have a brand of people who actually believe in the vision and help us recruit. So what we have done as one of our strategies to succeed is we have brand ambassadors in most of the states. Currently, we have 30. So they actively know what KNADS is all about, and they can engage members of their state to bring them on board. Reusing technology. For us, this is important because we live in so many states. We can draw membership out of 23 North American countries, plus the returnees from those countries. So for us to have like physical meetings all the time is not possible. So what we have done is we do meet and greets. Our brand ambassadors are the ones who actually lead the meet and greets, and those are considered our recruitment drives. The other thing is our meetings, we have them on Zoom, where we can see each other and have conversations, because we have found that doing conference calls, I can be multitasking. And I wouldn't be able to ask you, what is your point on X? But if we can see each other face to face on Zoom, you are more attentive. You're not trying to cook while in the meeting. You can't mute us while you're in the meeting. You can't really truly be multitasking. And so that the utilization of technology has been sufficient and a great strategy for us. The other thing is that we have a system where our members are able to go online and see what their deposits are. It eliminates the constant question, how much money do I have? Can you send me a statement? I can't see where you placed my money. Now they can easily log on and be able to see how much money they have deposited. That was a request that was made by the members. So be member focused, especially if you are involved in something that is involving members. And I believe AWI is very member focused. I was actually giving Dr. Agnes a compliment, how welcoming you all are. That when we walked in, we could feel the warmth. Everybody who walked in came and introduced themselves and said hello. I mean, it's an awesome thing. So it starts from the top, and everybody in the membership knows that that is how you all operate. In our case, we are very member focused in terms of we answer a question no matter how many times it has been asked. It is the first time we've had the question. And we answer it as though we've never had that question before. You never tell a member that was answered last week. It came in the newsletter. It has already been addressed multiple times. You answer that question as though you're hearing it for the first time. Integrity in the leadership. Even when you have to deliver bad news, do it with integrity and with transparency. The industry here with regards to SACCOs, we've seen how many SACCOs which were meant to be good SACCOs have turned out to be something that causes members to lose their money. And sometimes when I visited the commissioner's office, the thing that he was quick to remind us is there are times you're not going to give members dividends. Your business is not necessarily to always please the members by declaring dividends which don't exist. So you take from their savings to give them dividends, so as a leader, they don't take you out. When your time comes, it's okay. Let other people lead. But lead with integrity and transparency, and it will take you a long way. Out of the 200 and something billion that we are saying the diaspora brings, there is an amount that the country is failing to understand that we deliver. Anytime somebody comes to the US or any other diaspora country, we give somebody, take an envelope to my family. Who's accounting for that money? The only amount that they're counting is the 280 or however many billions that they know about, that passes through central bank, that is transacted through all kinds of pay transfer money orders, transfer forms, but not necessarily money that is usually sent in envelopes in other ways. So there is more than the 200 billion that we actually talk about. But where is this money going? As KNADS, we want our members to actually invest. And in an investment, we are using credible partners. That means they need to be vetted. because we have lost so much money. We get a lot of CEOs. So what I came to learn is a CEO in Kenya does not necessarily mean that they are a truthful person. Because they come to the diaspora in the name of Jesus, and they are Bible thumping, and they can recite all the verses in the Bible, but then the minute the money starts streaming in, that's the time we become empty Debes because we are asking questions. So just because somebody says they are a CEO, we need to be skeptical, and we need to vet those companies. Are they doing their taxes? Are they doing the right thing in Kenya before we actually invest with them? So, are we? I'm going to pose this question to you. If foreigners are coming to Kenya and are seeing the value of Kenya, where is your vision? Because surely they cannot be coming to Africa to see the animals only. They are here to invest. And we as women must take our place and invest alongside them. They may bring in 100%, even if we bring 10%, as AWI and all other diaspora organizations, we will still have a legacy for our children and our children's children to enjoy in future. So we must understand the trends. The Chinese are not coming here because there is nothing good in Kenya. Neither are the Americans, the Danish, and everybody, even South Africans. They wanatoka huko kwao. They come here for a reason. So let us be cognizant of what the trends are and make sure that we are investing in those opportunities that they are seeing, that sometimes we fail to see because we don't think Kenya is that country that offers the best. It only takes for you to go away and come back. And then you go to some of these hotels and you're like, this is in Kenya? This should be owned by a Kenyan. This should be owned by a Kenyan. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Let me just give you, I was doing the math while I was sitting back there. Kenya has almost 50 million. Let's work with 50 million. Let's even assume 25 million are women. Just 25 million. And I know we are more because women are more than men. And out of these 25 million women, if we each contributed 1,000 shillings a month, it's 25 billion. In 1 year is 300 billion. Who would ignore us? Who? No one would ignore us. They will be asking, and let me tell you, show a woman how to invest. They won't be, imagine they won't be using 1,000. They will do whatever it takes to add more than that 1,000. Because we have just had the statistics. Women, we save a lot. Imagine now we were saving for a purpose, to go build dams in all of Kenya. Huh? There is absolutely no reason why we should be having our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters, our cousins going to the river to carry water on their heads. Really, seriously, we can do this. 25 million women, 1,000 shillings a month is 25 billion. How much does a dam cost? I think they cost like 7 billion. We would be making 25 billion. How many dams are those in a month? 7. And we don't want a man to manage that money, and no disrespect for you, the men in the room. Because we know men are risky investors. They would want to turn our 25 billion into 50 bila kujua how. So I would urge that we all think about that our impact is yet to be felt. It is yet to be felt. And in our Canads, our motto is no woman left behind. I hope that is going to be the case with AWI.